Let's get comfortable.
Oh, shit. I'm never comfortable.
I know.
That's the secret. I'm never comfortable. Can that be our opening? Hello.
Hello.
Welcome.
Yeah, that can be our opening.
How is everyone? I hope we're all doing well.
Let's just leave a minute-long pause for them to type their responses in.
Yep.
Okay, that's been a minute.
It's been about a minute. So, I guess I want to chat a little bit. I want to have a little heart-to-heart with you lot.
We went and folded some laundry, and
It's true.
And Ben was very upset.
I folded your
He
socks.
looked like a soulless doll.
It's true, I did. I felt very sad. Yeah, like, I was a little low energy in the last episode, as my dear friend pointed out. And I wanted to address that for a second, because I feel like it wasn't just last episode.
Yeah, he's blaming me.
I know, it's all his fault. I feel like this has happened before. And the thing is, unlike Mr. Detective here, I'll be honest, I feel when I play a character or when I read a novel, when I experience a story, as I've said, I usually look at the characters more than whatever else we're supposed to be looking at. The actual story, who cares about that? I feel a lot of empathy for these characters. And so Natsuhi's sitting there by herself, especially knowing, like, because I've obviously read this scene before, like, knowing that she's just sitting there drinking her tea, looking all sad and dejected and then tottering away, like, knowing all that. I feel a lot of empathy for Natsuhi, and that is very affecting to me. I don't know how else to really put it. I don't know if there's an elegant way for me to, like, explain this, but it puts me in a bit of a down mood, which means that I might not talk as much. It's kind of a thing that happens. I don't know. I don't really know.
I don't mean to keep beating a dead horse about this, but as I've said, like, my normal method is to read through a story and look at what's happened and then go back through the second time and look at why it's happened. Because I find that's just how I enjoy things the most. And I think you particularly said, like, when I was like, oh, that was too easy when Byrne just denied Beatrice in Red.
A little flash of frustration there of like, okay, you're just trampling over Natsuhi right now.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel bad for her.
As I've said, like, I kind of struggle to connect with the characters of the like game board period of the story.
Yeah.
For some reason, I still haven't quite figured out what that is.
It is interesting, I think, if nothing else.
But I'm certainly very easily able to kind of like throw away,
to detach yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. It's unfortunately just a thing that's happening. I don't know. I think it's interesting though to see that we have such different approaches to the story, of course, as I've said. But yeah, for me, like, you saying something like that about poor sweet Natsu, who I know you don't like very much, because let's face it, she's not particularly competent a lot of the time she's on screen. That's the thing. But like, I feel bad for her. I want her to be happy.
My approach to like Natsui as a character so far has kind of been that she's just a bit like cringeworthy.
A little bit.
In that, like, she's clearly been thrown out of her depth with the entire situation regarding, like...
Everything?
Regarding everything.
Literally everything.
And
like,
she just very easily gets flustered by it.
Kinzo dying, like, everything.
Like, in the first episode, she just makes an absolute mess out of trying to protect the children and throws people out of the room and then takes them out of the room and then gets herself shot.
Yeah. But of course, what's interesting and something that we kind of talked about is that the only way that Nancy can keep herself together is through the illusion of Kinzo, through this magic.
Yeah.
That she kind of conjures. Natsu uses this magic to, like, deal with all of this bullshit.
Yeah, and I think I said earlier that seems to be a bit of a theme that, like, the characters that use magic are using it to cope with something.
Yeah, definitely. Maria and Angie and Natsu here all seem to be doing that. But yeah, I don't want to put too much of a downer on things. I just want to explain myself. If I seem a little out of sorts, it's because I love the characters. It's not because I'm bored.
Ben's not boring, guys.
I just want to make clear, it's not because I'm like bored or tired.
I feel like you don't have any necessity to defend yourself here.
I just want to make sure it's clear because I love these characters and I want to protect them forever.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it's a bit sketchy for me because it's like, as much as I'd love to talk about what you're feeling about these characters, there's also a lot of context that I'm lacking.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I don't want to get too much into this before we, like, I would have told you this way earlier at the start, but I want to get further into Chiru. A lot of people have said, hold on, a lot of people said that Chiru is the heart and soul of Umineko, and I wholly agree. And we should get into this shit.
Uh-huh. The heart and soul.
Yeah. After dashing to her bedroom, Jessica answered the phone call that had been transferred there.
Hello. Sorry to keep you waiting.
Such a beautiful voice.
Battler. What do you think you're doing not contacting us for 6 years? How's it going? Oh, really? How the hell I know? Shut up. So that means you'll be coming to this year's family conference, right? I mean, it's been 6 whole years.
Five businessmen in expensive suits were visiting in the parlor, giving Krauss and Nazi a progress report on their business. Spread out on the table were the blueprints and designs for a building, as well as documents related to expenditures and the like, so packed that even a teacup would have gotten in the way. Officially, they were here to give Krauss a progress report, but in actuality, Krauss had called them all the way over to Rikkenjima so that Nazi could hear from them directly. This was because Nazi needed to hear someone other than her husband explain what condition their business was in. In other words, even though another family conference without Kinzo was approaching, their business had not yet earned them any money. After telling the guests to wait for a short while, Krauss took Nazi out into the hall and once again summarized the situation.
In short, they say the work is proceeding even better than we imagined. This is where my personal connection to the governor really starts to pay off. By now, it's absolutely impossible for this catch to get away from us. To the contrary, it's growing so big that in one go we'll be able to regain not just the power of the attorney, but everything we've lost up to this point as well.
Krauss spoke passionately. This made it seem all the more suspicious to Nazi.
Fair.
Yeah, that's true. But this time at least, she had to admit that everything really did seem to be going well, somehow. Certainly, this business Krauss boasted of had expanded in scope over the last year, and was promising an even greater payoff than had been anticipated initially. Whether it would prove to be a winner or not, investors had gathered around it, and they were rapidly gaining funds. This must be what they meant when they say money summons money. It was probably the greatest success of Krauss's life so far. No, it probably would be his greatest success yet. That point was where Nazi's misgivings lay. True, it was certain, and as Krauss had said, they wouldn't lose his catch now. However, the fish on the line had gotten too big.
We'll definitely be able to reel this fish in. There's no need to rush. It's such a success that I wish I could show it to Father if he were still alive.
Yes, I know. However, I believe you made me a promise last year. You said you were sure you could manage something within a year. A pained look rose to Krauss's face. They certainly had hooked a fat fish that guarantees great success. However, it would require an appropriate amount of time to reel it in. Nazi pressed Krauss, asking if there was any way for them to make money before this year's family conference. But Krauss kept saying that he needed just one more year. Krauss planned to use this unprecedented success to catapult them into further challenges in the future. Because of this, he didn't want to do anything that would raise suspicions, but making it seem like they were rushing to get money, even though they clearly were. Certainly, fortune tends to turn against people who take it for granted even in the slightest. Anxious beggars never prosper. On many occasions before now, Krauss had gotten cold feet and sold off businesses that would surely have brought in a profit had he just waited, and had, in effect, given away his winning picks. Nazi also knew this. She knew that guts were the thing her husband lacked most. That's why she was unable to refuse when Krauss said he wanted to prudently wait just one more year.
How wonderful that things are going well. It would appear I'll have to sit around here as a ghost for a little longer.
You don't look too disappointed. You're fated to be chewed to bits by demons the moment you leave this world. My apologies, Father. For one more year, you might not be granted peace.
It is fine. Fear not, Nazi. I am no longer the Ashurmia family head. The ghost of the study should obediently follow the current head's commands. I've taken a look at Krauss's charts, and they aren't bad at all.
Even from your perspective, Father. That's pretty good. Oh my goodness. They're pretty good even from my perspective. Everyone is confident in victory, gathering together a significant quantity of magical power. As a result, that victory is going ever deeper, involving more and more people and magic, beginning to create gold. A perfect embodiment of classic alchemy.
If you've earned even the Golden Witch's approval, that is very reassuring. Rejoice, Nazi. This business of Krauss's will save the Ashurmia family from its crisis without fail.
Thank you very much, and if you would once again... Indeed. We'll have to overcome one more family conference, won't we? Yes, I think things went well last year, but I imagine some of the relatives will find it suspicious. I think this year's conference will be a critical time.
During last year's family conference, you were correct to predict that the same thing might have to happen again.
Even for those who aren't witches, preparing for the worst case scenario is one of the basics for getting on in this world. So, what will you do this year? Just like last year, I will see to it that a high concentration of the servants who know Father's secret are there on the day of the conference. Some of the relatives may already have noticed that Father isn't around. A careless show might actually put us in more danger of exposure.
Indeed. It is said that too much is as bad as too little. Then what will you do?
Unlike last year, I think we'll go with a plan that has you staying inside your study until the very end.
That would be suitable. Barricades are straightforward and simple, a final trump card.
No matter how strong the toxin that fills this mansion, as long as the closed room barrier remains around this room, it will be impossible to deny Kinzo's existence. I guarantee that myself. However, when forming a barricade, it is inevitable that you will be surrounded. I know. Even so, I beg that both of you lend us your power just one more time.
I cannot disobey the orders of the new head. Furthermore, a ghost cannot disobey the orders of the living. If you tell me not to leave this room, I will obey.
Thank you very much. I'm not satisfied. If you want me to lend you my power, I won't listen to a mere request. Yes, you are the family alchemist, so I won't ask you to help. I order you to help. Your magic is the one thing we can rely on. Use that power to create an illusion of Father just one more time. Very well. I hear and obey. I find your confidence quite pleasing.
That was short, or is this a purgatory scene? It's a purgatory scene.
Purgatory boys! From the shadows of the study, Battler watched the exchange between these three.
I see. So we've made it to this year's family conference. Grandfather was in a bad mood, so he shut himself in his study and didn't appear in front of anyone.
Natsu spoke boldly about how she would somehow overcome this year's crisis and protect the Yoshimiya family's honor until the very end, while Kinzo praised her, saying that her plan looked promising. Beato also praised her, saying that Natsu's dignified confidence was even more well-suited for the headship than Krauss's. However, right now, the true number of people in this room was...
The moment I thought that, no, because I thought it, Beato grabbed at her chest and moaned. Don't worry, this is still outside the game board, so I won't deny your grandfather over there. I put my hand on Beato as she tried to hold back the pain deep inside her chest. I've already told Berncastle. The 2-day period of the 1986 family conference is all I need to deny the illusion of the witch. In the last game you said in red that grandfather is dead at the start for all games. However, you never mentioned whether grandfather was alive or dead before the start for all games. In short, even if grandfather exists in this place right now, that doesn't create any contradictions. My hand touching her let off a faint blue light, which seeped into her chest. That light tenderly wrapped itself around the splinters in Beato's chest. I also can't deny the existence of the Beatrice in this place. The number of people on this island outside the game board, in other words, before October 4th, 1986, has not been proclaimed in red. Therefore, there's nothing strange about Beatrice existing here. Beato's expression softened slightly. My blue light slowly began to melt the red splinters that denied the illusion of the witch. Beato still wore the same sad expression, but she lifted her face, and looked me straight in the eye. Though she was silent, her eyes told me that her pain had subsided. The feelings that showed in her eyes were gratitude for taking the pain away, an appreciation, or was it surprise, for leaving even a tiny bit of leeway for witches to exist. Unable to directly look at those pure eyes of hers, I reflexively averted my gaze. Don't get the wrong idea, I don't plan on accepting the existence of witches or surrendering. I just want to let that part slide and fight stoically so that I can win this game against you. I've no desire to bully you outside the game board as well. Beato hung her head. I was still facing away from her. However, we waited wordlessly for a while, my hand still on hers. By now, no one would have believed that this sad-eyed woman was the same person as that prideful Beato. So I asked once more, even though I said it aloud, it wasn't a question to her. I was asking myself, just what in the world were you thinking? That's right. Even though this is Lambda's game, I have to find you here. I have to find what you thought and what you were trying to do. Very soon, this game will reach October 4th, 1986. The 5th game will finally begin. And this time I'll reach the end of that journey. But we still have 3 episodes to go, Battler. Not worried about the surface level stuff like murders and tricks. What did you, the Golden Witch Beatrice, think, and why did you do what you did? What were you hoping for? That's what I'm gonna find out. That's right. I already know how I can reach the end of that journey. It's been made clear to me since the very beginning. This time I'll spin the chessboard around. I'll read this tale not from my side, but from yours. And this time, I'll understand you. I'll pick my way to your heart. I won't let you feel pain. Don't worry. I won't let those witches use you as a toy anymore. Beto looked up at me again and gave a small nod. That's right. The position of Game Master might have been snatched up by Lambda Delta. However, as long as I continue this contest with the intent of fighting against Beto, our fight will continue no matter who controls the game board. Very soon the curtain will rise on our game. This is so different from like fucking party atmosphere we had at the beginning of episode 4.
It's incredibly different.
I just want the party back, boys.
Yeah, I wish I could just be happy and not worry about things.
At this year's family conference, we must conceal the master's secret once again.
Yes, I understand.
I'm a little doubtful that the same trick will work twice. Madam shares your concerns. Because of that, it was decided that this year he will not leave the study even once.
In other words, we'll make it seem like he's been shut away inside his study the whole time?
Yes, and the only ones allowed to enter the study are the 3 of us, the servants permitted to wear the one-winged eagle. Which means that the 3 of us will have to perpetuate the lie about the master. Correct. The relatives will probably question you about the master's health and mood. Make sure you answer without hesitation and see to it that nothing is seen as suspicious.
Yes, I understand.
I am sure you'll screw up right away, Nay-san. Maybe it's better to say you have a cold or something so you can skip that day.
That's mean.
Cannon wasn't just making fun of her. He only wanted to release Shannon from the burden of working on the most serious of days.
Genji-sama, is it really necessary for Shannon to be on duty? We can manage things well enough without her. That I cannot do. Madam gave strict orders that the 3 of us be scheduled to work on that day.
Yes, I'm prepared to perform my duties successfully.
Don't screw up.
I won't.
Shannon grew sullen and Cannon shrugged. Then Genji told them they weren't taking this seriously enough.
Shannon, Cannon, the master we serve has already passed away. However, until he has truly passed on, we will continue to serve. That study is not empty. The master is still there, hard at work on his usual research. Make sure you take that to heart. Yes, Genji-sama.
Man, I think that might be the first time we did that.
I was gonna say, we didn't need a countdown! Oh! It's tight.
Father's already passed away. That's insane.
Settle down. It's only a possibility. It's well known that Takeda Shingen said in his will that his death was to be kept secret for 3 years. Know about that?
Is that how it went? My Japanese history isn't so great.
At the time, Takeda was in the middle of a war with Oda and Tokugawa. If people learned about his death at a time like that, it probably had a bad impact on the war. Because of that, he left a will saying that his death should be kept hidden for 3 years. Hideyoshi did the same thing, right? He totally suppressed information about the death of his master, Oda Nobunaga, so the enemy wouldn't find out. Quickly made peace with Mori and defeated Akechi in the Battle of Yamasaki.
Japanese history,
Fuck.
everyone.
I hope I pronounced these right.
They seem relatively okay thus far.
Oh god, what is that?
Shibata Katsuie.
I got this. Katsuie? Anyway.
On the other hand, Shibata Katsuie failed at this. The enemy, Uesugi, learned of Nobuyuki's death. So Shibata... Sorry. This is great.
This is great.
I'm enjoying this. So Shibata had to deal with an unexpected counterattack and got slowed down. That's why later on he suffered a great loss against Hideyoshi in the fight for the succession. Not me, the historical Hideyoshi.
Who I'm named after.
Yes.
Hideyoshi, who had a strong fascination with the commanders of the Sengoku period, would always show off his knowledge when he got the chance. The bastard. Wincing slightly if it made him get back to his point.
So basically, the whole time since last year's family conference, I felt as though something was strange.
You mean the time when Rudolph and I were talking about the inheritance and Father overheard us from the hall?
That's just it. Natsui-san and the servants kept saying father was here or there and that he seemed to be in a bad mood, but not a single one of us relatives saw father, right?
If what you're thinking is right, what does that mean? Does it mean Nissan's trying to keep all of the inheritance for himself?
Of course, hiding someone's death is a very dangerous thing to do, and all things considered, I'm not sure Krauss-san would be willing to do it just to have the inheritance to himself. But it is possible.
Well, it's true that Nissan has always been greedy. He always used to take things that were meant for all of the siblings, keeping them all for himself.
Krauss-san is supposed to be the richest of the siblings. Krauss-san's scheming to keep the inheritance all to himself to the point of accepting the risk of hiding father's death sounds a tad unbelievable to me. Even so, last year's family conference was so strange I can't help but wonder.
Ava and the others were painfully aware of how reckless it would be to try and see Kinzo when he was in a bad mood. So during last year's family conference, once they heard about Kinzo getting into a terrible mood, they never made an attempt to contact him. That was why, to this very day, they hadn't found it suspicious that Kinzo had never appeared.
Certainly is worth suspecting, but I wonder if Nissan really would do something as appalling as hiding father's death. For all his pride, that man has a coward side to him. Would he really make such a once-in-a-lifetime bet?
Either way, it'd probably be a good idea to make sure we get a chance to meet with father during this year's conference.
The rumors are really bad. Sounds like Anika's business is failing even worse than we'd imagined. Like he's taking massive losses and he's giving it all he's got just to try and cover it up. That will make it very difficult to borrow money from him. Yeah, I could cry. Wouldn't being in financial stress also weaken Krauss-san's position in certain ways? Weaken his position? Well, investors tend to have a keen eye. If they hear that he's actually low on funds, they won't want to have anything to do with him. I guess trust is the most important part of that business. Kyrie smiled thinly.
I wasn't expecting this theme to stop playing.
Yeah, boy. Are you so ready? Rudolph was taken aback by that smile. You'd figured that his plan, which involved raising money to get him out of this current mess by borrowing from the affluent Krauss, would all come to nothing now that they knew Krauss himself was in financial trouble. Confidence in Krauss' abilities might be a requirement for his own businesses in the future, but it isn't necessary for our future. Are you suggesting that I blackmail him? I wouldn't want to, if it were me. For one blood sibling to take another one down is no laughing matter.
Fuck you, Kasumi!
Yeah. Rudolph felt a shiver go up his spine at Kyrie's cold smile. At times, Kyrie was able to throw away all compassion and think in an extremely ruthless manner. Whenever he saw that, Rudolph knew he'd never like to have her as his enemy. I'd rather not threaten Oni-san if we had any other way to get money. If there were any other way, we wouldn't be worrying. Don't you think it's a bit pathetic to waste time worrying about a problem when you have no other options? Yeah. Rudolph stopped talking, folded his arms, and lowered his gaze. He still felt some of the terror he'd experienced thanks to Krauss' violence when they were young. And now that same Krauss was the one he needed to threaten. Rudolph would also be fighting against his childhood trauma, so to give her husband a little push, Kyrie smiled reassuringly, and perhaps coldly. I've never been a fan of doing work based on trust. It takes hard work to build up trust, but only an instant to lose it. There's no less profitable investment. You're right. All the trust in the world isn't worth a good banknote. Even though Krauss has been taking on massive losses, he ought to be capable of gathering enough money to buy some time. Of course, he'd probably be forced to cash in all the trust he's built up so far. This is gonna get ugly. We'll have to prepare sufficiently. We haven't been given any time or room for failure. Isn't that right? Among my Kyoto friends, I know a few who are talented at this sort of investigation. I'd rather not be indebted to people like that, but do you want to try meeting them? You can't expect people like that to offer you seats, but I'm sure they'll dig up something that makes them worth the investment.
Kyoto friends.
Kyoto. Yeah, close enough.
Isn't that what I said?
Don't worry about it. Let's continue.
Yes, Maria's doing well too. That's none of your business. Thank you. Well, I'll have to look at my schedule.
Rosa was talking to Rudolph over the phone. Rosa rarely received calls from her older siblings, so she braced herself for something serious. Well, truth is... It'd be Rudolph then. Well, truth is, I want to have a little talk about the next family conference without Aniki.
Between Yumi and Ava-san, sounds like a headache.
I can't go into details over the phone, but I think you'll find it's worth listening to.
Something good.
Of course. And Nick is all for it.
Ne-san is...
All we want is your approval. We aren't going to ask you for money or anything like that. The most important thing is that the three of us stick together. Got it? Rosa let out a sigh. She did so because in the past, when Rudolph and Ava got into a fight with Krauss, they always used to talk to her like this right before dragging her into it.
First tell me, I stand to gain something too, yes?
Yep. The three of us will each grab 200 million out of this. If all goes well, we might be able to squeeze out a little bit more. That should be enough to handle your debt, right?
And when can we expect to grab this by?
Of course, it'll be within a year. I need it, Aneka needs it, and you need it too, Rosa. All three of our problems will be settled.
So the chances of success are good enough that Ne-san's agreed to it.
Now, do you want to hear? I know it's a bit sudden, but let's meet next Sunday, 7 p.m. at the coffee shop you like in Kinzo. That's the only time Aneka's scheduled in my match. Any problems?
If we're talking 200 million, I'll have no choice but to listen. And let's meet at 7 p.m. next Sunday at Leopold's.
And Maria-chan, you can bring her too if you want.
Don't talk about money in front of that child.
She set the receiver down with a clunk, a little violently. Apparently, either Ava or Rudolph had gotten a hold of one of Krauss's weak points. They would probably threaten him with that at the next family conference and force him to pay up. Even before hearing the details, she knew full well that it would be nothing good. But even so, this might be her once-in-a-lifetime chance to pay back her large debts. Rose took a notebook out of her handbag and decided to mark the day she'd be meeting with Rudolph and Ava. And she frowned and smacked herself hard in the forehead. Because written there was DLZ with Maria. A DZL, even. Something she had planned to do with her daughter. Maria was in her room, playing around excitedly with Sakatara and the others. That was because she was going to go to that recently built amusement park. Disneyland. Disneyland. Don't question
I
it.
wasn't expecting it to show up again.
Disneyland! It's an important plot point.
Oh
no. It's the conspiracy. It was Disney Mouse and... What were they?
Mocky Mouse and Moany Mouse.
Is that it? I don't remember saying Moany Mouse. I think that was you.
No, yeah, it was both of them were me.
Okay. The following Sunday. Looking at the clock, Rosa saw that it was just past 9 o'clock at night. Maria was breaking the lights out rule. After covering her face and agonizing for a while, Rosa stood up and stomped over to Maria's room. The room would probably be a mess as well. At least tonight, that was convenient. She stood outside the door to Maria's room, listening to the happy laughter seeping through. Rosa's face twisted in anguish once again, and she looked at the floor. Then, when she raised her head again, her brow was furrowed and her face had become an ugly expression of anger.
Can we cut away first, please?
I hope so. I don't want to deal with this.
Yay! Instead of Maria torture, we get murder.
Murder! Woo! The weather wasn't that great. According to the weekend forecast, a certain tropical cyclone would likely grow into a large typhoon.
What? But they're the same thing.
You know what? Don't worry about it. Typhoon? No, it's a different word. Don't worry about it.
No, well...
I don't actually know the difference. Do you know the difference?
Hurricanes, cyclones, and typhoons are all the same thing, just different regions.
Isn't it just that hurricanes are over land and cyclones are over water?
No. It's literally just that it's different names that originated different places for the same thing.
That's cool.
You know what? It's called a tropical storm that becomes one of the above three.
Right. Well, you know what? It's fine. I'll have to look into it. But yeah, that might be an error.
It's probably not an error, more so that it's like just a translation.
I'm not too concerned.
I mean, maybe they actually do call the weaker one a cyclone in Japan.
Yeah, maybe this is a Japan thing. Who knows? If I don't understand something, it's probably Japan.
Tangents!
I'm just saying. It's Japan, right? If we don't understand it, it must be Japan.
I think that is a very apt assessment. So if I can't solve any mystery in this game, it's Japan.
Everything is Japan.
I should have picked it right from the start.
It's not magic, it's Japan.
That's right.
What would happen if you replaced every mention of the word magic with Japan? What happens then? I reckon it would make a lot more sense.
I think this story would remain completely intact.
Yeah, it would. If unhappy premonitions tend to be right, this year's family conference will probably take place in absolutely horrible weather. Oh shit. Narration. No, I wish a typhoon large enough to stop all boat travel would seal Kenji away forever. If that happened, I'd be able to hide Kinzo's death as long as I wanted. If only the typhoon would keep them at bay forever. Nancy let out a deep sigh. Just doing that made her headache throb. As the day of the family conference approached, the intensity of her headache just kept on increasing. At that time, the phone rang.
Nothing gives me trauma in this game quite like that phone sound.
Yeah, remembering EP1.
Yeah.
Nazi turned the TV off and picked up the receiver. Hello?
I apologize for calling during your rest. It is Genji.
Is something the matter?
There is a phone call for you from the external line. However, they will not state their name.
Yay, ominous music!
It's great. They aren't saying their name.
Yes, the person in question said you would know when you spoke with them. What should be done? It might be a prank.
What did they sound like?
I believe it was a young man. Any idea who it might be?
Is it just gonna be Battler? Is that all it's gonna be?
Oh, a young man? Nazi didn't have a clue who that might be. In the first place, there was no one amongst her acquaintances who would do something as rude as refusing to state their name. And on top of that,
It's gotta be Battler.
a young man? As a wife, she must avoid any contact that might be considered suspicious with anyone other than her husband, much less a young man. As soon as she thought this, the phone call suddenly seemed like something dirty. But despite that, she also wanted to know what they wanted to tell her. Could it be some kind of trouble related to Krauss's business? Or if there was some particular reason they needed to talk to Krauss's wife instead of Krauss directly? No matter what it is, it's my duty as a wife to listen and report to Krauss. If it's some bizarre threat, I just have to firmly refuse and inform Krauss that I received such a phone call. If it's something offensive, I just have to tell Genji to never send me anonymous calls again. As Nazi thought this, just as Genji was suggesting that he hang up on the man as though that's what she'd naturally choose, she told him to connect her to this person. She then set the receiver down. After a short while, the phone rang again. Hello? This wasn't the internal line, it was the external phone line, which Genji had redirected to her, so it should already have been connected directly with the mysterious man. However, the person on the other end didn't respond. Not liking this at all, Nazi spoke one more time, sounding displeased. Hello, who is this? Tell me your name. She heard something that sounded like a sigh. She gulped reflexively. After remaining silent for a little longer, the man finally answered. So you're gonna take this. This is the mysterious voice. That is the character you were
I don't
dealing
even
with.
have a picture to go off.
I know, you don't. This is the mysterious voice. Give him a sexy, mysterious voice.
But
But what?
But why?
Because this is a sexy, mysterious
But
person.
why is this happening?
I don't know. It's a great question.
Why couldn't it just be Battler just giving a fun phone call to his aunt?
Why couldn't it be?
I'm just gonna call up my aunt right now, give her a fun phone call.
Hey, Aunt Nazi, I hope you're doing okay. I hope Kinzo is still alive. We don't get stuck on the island and fight witches and shit.
I'm kind of tempted to, actually. It'd be fun to call my aunt. She's lovely to speak to.
I'm sure she is. But yeah, this is the mysterious man. He has a title, but I won't tell you what it is. 'Cause
Okay.
It's not relevant yet. So, give it a whirl. I believe in you.
It's been a long time, huh?
That was the first time the man had spoken.
We didn't just cut out 5 minutes of me debating this.
Don't worry about it, it's fine.
Is this
This
me
is you,
again?
this is you.
Just how long has it been? How many years?
What are you talking about? Who are you?
I feel like it's slipping into Krauss drastically.
It's okay, I believe in you. The voice certainly did sound like a young man's, but it's hard to learn much about someone just by their voice on the phone. It sounded like a young man, but it might actually be a middle school-age boy, or a man in his prime who still had a youngish voice. No, wait, it might be too soon to be sure this is even a male. However, one thing was certain. Natsu could think of no one who would speak to her in an overly familiar manner like this.
Except to be easy for me to tell you my name, but it would make me very sad.
It's perfect. I don't know what you're talking about. Who are you? And what business do you have with me? If you can't tell me that, I'm not interested. I'm hanging up.
What I want is for you to remember.
And what is it that you're telling me to remember? I don't know you, so I have nothing to remember.
Please don't say that. I am your child, am I not? I'm not even gonna react to that. This is just fucking...
What?
What is this? Is a nice track. I can enjoy this.
Oh, Oh, this is Deep Blue Gia? I think this is Deep Blue Gia.
I don't know.
It's a fun song. What did you say? What are you talking about?
Don't say things that will make me so sad, Mother.
Yeah, this is a fun new track. That unsettling word thrust itself mercilessly into the depths of Natsu's heart and started churning it about. In her entire life, Natsu had never been told something so unsettling. In her bewilderment, Natsu felt her heart beat so loudly that it felt like it would explode. I have no idea what you're talking about. I don't know what you're planning, but I'm hanging up.
I came back for revenge. Revenge for your crime of 19 years ago.
Yo! Natsu's mind went blank. And from beyond the wind howling outside the window, she most certainly heard the roar of the sea from that day.
So you actually do remember, do you not?
I told you I don't know what you're talking about. Never call here again. It's the man from 19 years ago.
I have not forgotten how you treated me 19 years ago. To curse you, I still call you Mother despite that. No, because of that. Family conference will be here very soon, right? I am your son, Mother. I'll come on the day of the conference, after 19 years, so that I can have my revenge on you.
Click.
What is going on?
Breathing so hard her shoulders heaved, Natsu slammed the receiver down and hung up. Then she hit the phone violently, knocking the receiver off, so that no more calls would come through it. I can hear the roar of the sea. That voice I hear from beyond the howling wind is suddenly, even if I cover my ears, the headache won't. Completely pale, Natsu kept shivering as though cold. And scene? Whoa! Planetary space! Lambda, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm anywhere you want me to be, Burned.
She's so fucking smug. Then crawl into the cupboard under the kitchen floor. Or in a jar of rice bran paste if you like.
Are you gonna dip me in bean paste and bite into me? But then I'd rather you dip me in honey. In return, I'll cook you in sugar water.
At least make it sweet soy sauce with sweet sake.
So what's up? You gonna make me repeat something? This their relationship has gone from like war to just fucking flirting.
Absolutely.
It's awful.
Absolutely.
I
It's
hate
great.
it so
it's
much.
So good. I told you we have to be on the opposite sides of as many ships as possible.
I'm fucking done with
Everything
this
is
shit.
planned based on the ships.
I hate you.
That's right.
Once this is over, I'm deleting you from all of my contact lists.
No way. We have to keep the ship going. Look, you're being Sundari right now. This is the Sun. I'm waiting for the dairy. Is Natsu's phone conversation here real? Lambda Delta grinned unpleasantly as though sizing Ben Castle up. She was probably trying to tease Bern for making that demand. He refused to repeat it.
Well now, should I refuse or should I respond? As the game master, that's up to me to decide, and I get to make that decision anytime I want.
Unless I stated in blue, you aren't obligated to respond.
That's it! For now, you're stuck wondering about Natsu's secret of 19 years ago, okay? Make sure you're sitting on the edge of your seat.
Of course, this fishy telephone call happened before October 4th, 1986. This is still before the start of the game, so there's basically no need to question whether it's true or false.
This is you.
Oh yeah. Since you, the game master, went out of your way to show me this, I'll take it as a preparatory move for something else. It might be a trick, but I'll at least keep this move of yours in my memory.
So you'll leave without turning the card over? Ouch, what?
Direct attack. After suddenly being conked on the head, Lambda Delta was bewildered. But perhaps this incomprehensible exchange was funny to her because she quickly went back to giggling. Are you done preparing the game board now?
Yeah, that's right. Now I'll finally move on to the game. On to October 4th, 1986.
I wonder what number October 4th, 1986 this is. The Endless Witch, huh? Beatrice. She truly is a frightening child.
Any moves from your side yet, Burn?
No. If you refuse to repeat what I asked, then I'm done.
Turn end right. Untap, unkeep, draw.
No.
Come. October 4th, 1986.
On the Delta with the Yu-Gi-Oh reference.
Is that what it is?
Or maybe Magic the Gathering. You know what? They're all the same to me. Fight me! Card playing people! Tell me which of yours is the greatest.
I feel like the When They Cry logo in this version is higher resolution than 3.
I mean, it's definitely brighter. Was the wing always so bright and gold? I don't know.
It wasn't. It was like a more soft kind of silvery gold.
Yeah.
Whatever that's called.
Good fun. The first day, October 4th,
Well,
1986.
hold on. We gotta stop a video somewhere.
But I wanted to do my
Next
410
time.
call out. Bye.